There's actually a lot of evidence on the ground already.
Yeah. You know, no matter what you think of President Donald Trump, if there's any possibility in one's mind that he hasn't been involved in any type of dirty dealings or dirty business with paying off women or with women in any way, or business dealings that were not exactly according to law, wouldn't it be Joe Michael Cohen who did the dirty work for him?
Well, yeah. I mean, he did time and time again. And so this is going to be a very interesting week on the Hill for not only concerning for the President of the United States, but also very concerning for members of the family. And to follow up on what Nick just said, Susan Page, this is what part of Garrett Graff's feed last night. He said, just imagine following Hillary's successful campaign in 2016, she fires FBI Director Jim Comey for refusing to drop an investigation of National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. And then Deputy AG Sally Yates appoints Mueller as special counsel. And then imagine that John Podesta, instead of Manafort, is indicted for a $65 million decade-long money laundering scheme illegally working for the government of Ukraine, then re-indicted for witness tampering. Imagine that Nick Merrill Papadopoulos equals Papadopoulos pleads guilty for lying to federal agents about his contacts. Imagine next that Cheryl Mills equals Gates pleads guilty to participating in Podesta's scheme and begins cooperating with Mueller. Imagine then that Clinton National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan equal Flynn pleads guilty for lying to federal agents, et cetera, et cetera. Then imagine that Uma Abedin equals Cohen pleads guilty to tax fraud and an illegal campaign finance scheme to cover up a scandal in the final days of the campaign directed by Hillary herself. Then Uma pleads guilty again to lying to Congress for. I mean, it goes on and on and on. We all know what would have happened. Hillary Clinton would have been impeached about halfway through all of those incidences and driven from town. And there are still Republicans that actually have the nerve to say that Robert Mueller has done nothing, and this is nothing but a witch hunt. Oh, by the way, did we mention the 25 or so Russians indicted for tampering with American democracy, which, by the way, even the president's own very loyal and faithful secretary of the DHS says that's exactly what's happening.
It's quite the extraordinary imaginary scenario there. You know, I think that does underscore one thing to look for with the Michael Cohen hearing, the public hearing on Wednesday, and that is, you know, reporters are going to be listening for what's new. What does he say that we didn't know before? But Americans may be watching this to try to figure out what went on, what matters, who do you believe? And I think back the Watergate hearings, which I didn't cover, but also the Iran-Contra hearings, which I did cover, and the importance there not only for getting out new information, but also for for Americans just sort out in their own minds with all this information, and some of it confusing and conflicting, and some of it quite explosive, to just try to figure out what it means to them and to assess Michael Cohen. Of course, he has a history. He's been convicted of lying to Congress. That hurts his credibility. But do they look at him and do they believe what he's telling them? And I think that's one of the things we should be watching for on Wednesday. Is just, does this make a complicated story more understandable for Americans, and who are they going to trust to tell them the truth?
Well, and Eddie, for Donald Trump, the big lie over the past 2 years has been the two words witch hunt. I know he's proud of it, but Americans don't believe him overwhelmingly. They think he's a liar. If you look at the poll numbers when he talks about a witch hunt, that witch hunt has nailed 25, 30 people in indictments, have taken down most of the people that were around Donald Trump during his campaign. They have pled guilty. They have been caught lying and caught committing felonies. And some, his campaign managers, going to jail for life, most likely. We keep learning things about his national security advisor. Mm-hmm. And again, on the other side of the big lie, the witch hunt, Russia didn't interfere. It's a witch hunt. I believe Vladimir Putin. That's the other part of the big lie, where the FBI director that he appointed said that's a lie. Russia interfered with our democracy in 2016. Dan Coates, the director of national intelligence, says that's a lie. The Russians interfered. You can just keep going right down the list. The CIA director, Gina Haspel, that's a lie. The Russians interfered. Again, his own director of the Department of Homeland Security said that's a lie. Russia has interfered with our democracy. They are interfering with our democracy, and it continues to be a threat. You can go down the list. And what Robert Mueller has already revealed has been shocking. It would be shocking for people if they cared more about their country than their own political party. Apparently some, though, care far more about their own political party and their own political clan than they do the United States of America, if they don't care that the entire intel community has said Russia has interfered with our democracy, and they are currently trying to continue to interfere with our democracy.
Joe, that's a devastating listing of what we've already experienced and what we know, and then you combine it with the stuff around campaign finance, with the hush money, you combine it with Trump University.